Is Darnell Mooney underrated? And we're also unveiling the bracket for our summer podcast series, the Falcons Historian Player Shootout.
You are Locked On Falcons, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another illustrious episode of the Locked On Falcons podcast, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day. And if you don't know me, I'm your very humble host, Aaron Freeman. Been covering the Falcons for far too long, formerly at falcfans.com, RIP. But, some people, know me as the illustrious host of this podcast. They also know me as Sirius Black and Mr. Drew and the Jolly Green Giant and the iron that sharpens the iron. And I'm also known as Mr. AKA. And guys, I want to thank each and every one of you that is an everydayer of this pod that makes this podcast your first listen or first watch of the day. And to become an everydayer, all you got to do is subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So today's episode, I am joined by an illustrious guest. He is Allen Strk, the former co-host of the Locked On Falcons podcast, contributor at the Falcoholic. And we will be unveiling our summer series. If you remember, several years ago, 4 years ago, we did a trivia tournament involving various Atlanta sports, content creators called the Falcons Historian Shootout. And this year we're updating it with a new twist, focusing on the players. We'll break that down at the end of today's episode, but we'll get into Allen's thoughts on the Falcons offseason moves, since it's been a while since Allen has been on the podcast and he hasn't had an opportunity to share that. So we'll jump into that conversation on the Falcons offseason moves right now. Welcome back, everyone, to another illustrious episode of the Locked On Falcons. And of course, we have nothing but illustrious guests here on this illustrious show. And I am joined by none other than Allen Strk, covers the Falcons for the Falcoholic, former co-host of the Locked On Falcons podcast, as well as the Falcfans podcast, the previous incarnation of this illustrious podcast. Allen, my friend, welcome back to the show.
Oh, always feels great to be here. The reunion, but this is going to be a longer reunion. It's not just one episode. It's the start of something fun.
Yes, we are here to announce a brand new summer project that we'll be working on. We'll unveil the details of that later in the episode. But because, Allen, you haven't been on the podcast in almost 6 months, since early December, since the Falcons, beat the incredible Tim Boyle-led New York Jets. Figure, we'll catch up on sort of your thoughts on what the last 5 and 6 months of the Falcons offseason has been. And so, I guess we'll start at the beginning. What did you think of the hire of Raheem Morris?
Oh, man. Sorry, just bring up that Jets game. I had a great experience interviewing players and talking chicken sandwiches with Drake London, but the game itself, less said the better. The Raheem Morris hire, that was well done. Look, I was all in on Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson is one of the great offensive minds, but clearly he was not available. I am a fanboy of Mike Vrabel, but something is clearly up that organizations are kind of off on him at the moment. So to me, Raheem Morris was the best option. Now I want to downgrade him, saying he was option C, but you got to assess candidates. And to me, he's someone that's been proving himself for a long time. Obviously, with Tampa Bay, a little too quick for him, but over the past decade, literally, he's worked his way back up. And you have to admire his persistence, his determination, and he was a huge part of the Rams' success. People could talk about the Rams' defense, they were star-studded, but you look at the last year, he had to work with a lot of undrafted free agents. He was moving pieces around. Michael Hoyt, 320 pounds, dropping in the flat. Not something I would suggest, but it's just cool, unique stuff like that. So I'm intrigued to see what happens with Raheem Morris, because it's a redemption story that we didn't think was possible, just because, remember, he was interim coach. Who could have thought this could be the case 3 years ago, back when Arthur Smith was hired? So it's cool. I'm all for it. It's just I can't deny that Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel were the top two choices on my wish list.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. And let's talk a little bit about the Falcons offseason moves. And they only really made 2 moves this offseason. They signed Kirk Cousins and they drafted Michael Penix and pretty much did nothing else this offseason. So what did you think of the Falcons offseason?
I'm a big fan of the wide receiver moves. Why we got to downgrade the wide receiver moves?
Because it's me, and the listeners know that I will not acknowledge the existence of Rondell Moore or Darnell Mooney on this podcast.
What's wrong with Darnell Mooney?
He's fine. He's fine. He's in that Russell Gage, Olamide Zaccheaus, Harry Douglas, Matt Collins, Mohamed Sanu tier of really good number threes that are masquerading as number twos.
I think Russell Gage is a bit of insult too. Maybe a little bit of insult to Mohamed Sanu as well. But at least Mooney's a vertical threat, which is, I think, what the main thing this team needs.
Okay.
He can make contested catches. I'm not saying he's going to break the top off of. Maybe I'm watching too much 2021 film. You watched Darnell Mooney in 2021. He's yes. From Andy Dalton, Nick Foles. Look, the Bears' offense has been atrocious the last 2 years. At least their passing game. So that's why I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. And he's just someone that has a lot of ability. Is the contract a bit over the top? Yeah, but look, that's the wide receiver market. Like, people have been getting upset about receiver contracts for years. We used to do a podcast getting upset about receiver contracts. Yeah. So I'm not like, look, they need to get someone that I think has a resume. And look, last 2 years has not been ideal for Darnell Mooney, but I think he has a lot to prove. And he is a great route runner. And you have to appreciate route runners. As Aaron just is not impressed by his conversation one bit. As for Rondell Moore, I get it. He's kind of a gadget player. Could Zach Robinson turn him into 2024 Taylor Gabriel? That could be kind of cool. But I do think at this point that Rondell Moore might be better as a ball carrier, gadget player than an actual wide receiver. But look, this team needs speed. You watch the Falcons offense last year, it was the most lackadaisical, sluggish offense. Don't get me started about when they were running 10 personnel and you had Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith and Cordell Patterson just create no separation. Like, this team needs speed. So that's why I'm excited about the receivers. Look, Kirk Cousins, I've never been hugely thrilled about, but I will say the last 18 months, at least in Kevin McConnell's system, he's been outstanding. More times than not. It's just the ball placement. I just think he's not just more poised, which is always a knock on Kirk Cousins because he always struggled to handle pressure, but he just seemed to be getting the ball out a lot quicker. There's a lot more decisiveness in Kirk Cousins' game the last 18 months working with Kevin McConnell. O'Connell, excuse me. So at least there's upgrade. There's strides there. And the Falcons, look, they had to go above and beyond to get someone that's going to bring credibility to the position, someone that, they can actually get the ball to their playmakers. Because when you spend top 10 picks on skill position players, you got to be able to maximize it. So, they're in this stage now where it's just, all right, we have to see the best of Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and eventually Bijan Robinson to decide, are we going to give these guys, max contracts? So, I like the overall philosophy behind it. Contract is what it is, and I'm intrigued. I guess Kirk Cousins, let's do it. But I just hope people realize there is a ceiling to this.
Okay. Well, it feels like that's a perfect segue to talk about Michael Penix, and we'll do that, as well as talk about Alan's thoughts on this 2024 Falcons schedule that dropped last week and what he thinks about it as we continue today's Locked On Falcons. Now, guys, most of my life I've lived paycheck to paycheck, and thankfully Locked On has been very good for me these past few years. And so I can start, adding to my savings. And our proud sponsor today, Yahoo Finance, is helping to give me the tools that's going to help me grow those savings into so much more. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor, right? And, for me, who wants to sort of grow that savings pot, especially start looking ahead to retirement, years and years down the road, Yahoo Finance is a great resource for me. And whether you're a seasoned investor or you're just looking for that extra guidance like myself, Yahoo Finance is going to give you the tools and the data that you need all in one place. They are the #1 finance destination. And you can stay on top of the financial news cycle by heading over there. You'll get breaking news, analysis, editorials, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The #1 financial destination, it's yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. So I'm here with Allen Strk, former co-host of the Falcons podcast, as well as Locked On Falcons, also a contributor over at the Falcoholic. And we've heard your thoughts on how illustrious this wide receiver core is, as well as Kirk Cousins. What were your thoughts when you saw? Because I know you're not a draft guy, Alan. So I'm just curious, what was your reaction to seeing the Falcons taking Michael Penix?
Just everyone wants to talk long term and playing for the future. And in case of Kirk Cousins, this project goes wrong, but it's just hard for me to get behind something that you won't see till 2026 from a top 10 pick. I know it's a kind of a basic outlook. People are like, you got to think long term. You got to think of what's the long term development of Michael Penix. He is a bit raw, albeit he is a little older as a prospect. But it's just top 10 picks. These are premium assets, and just to treat it like, oh, it's something for 2026, just something that I can't get behind. I just can't. I did watch a little bit of Penix. A little concerned of how he kind of struggles handling pressure, but look, he's a young player, and I do think give him time to at least develop. And I know people will knock him. Oh, he's on the offense with 3 NFL wide receivers, 2 NFL offensive linemen, and the offensive coordinator of Seattle. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So him having that support cast, but we're really going to knock him for that. I just think they're watching so many bad Falcon quarterbacks the last 2 years. I think people just want to see accuracy. And I will say, at least it looks like Michael Penix is accurate. But the justification, you just can't convince me it was the right move. I just think number 8 pick to pick someone that you're probably not going to play till 2026 for a team that kind of needs, I don't want to say it's the win now, but it's just you gotta add more. Like Terry Fontenot has to think there's pressure on him at this point. And just to get someone that you kind of treat as a luxury pick when you have several needs, whether it's on the defensive line or even the corner. I know this wasn't a big defensive draft, but it's just you got to have somewhat of a win now philosophy. Just planning like you're the Green Bay Packers of 2019, there's no comparison for it. So definitely wasn't a fan of the move, but let's see how Penix develops. At least he's accurate. That's like one of my favorite things from watching him.
Okay. I don't know if he's that accurate, but whatever. It's fine. So, Alan, we'll see what happens with Michael Penix in 2026, but let's talk a little bit about what happened for the Falcons in 2024. Schedule dropped last week. They have an interesting opening 3, opening 6, opening
5. It's got to be 5.
Okay, you're disrespecting the Carolina Panthers right now.
I mean, what are we gonna do with the Carolina Panthers? The Carolina Panthers have been disrespecting themselves.
Okay,
come on.
Okay,
think I'm gonna take someone that's an organization run by David Tepper seriously? Come on.
All right.
But no, the first 5 games are awesome. Way to start off with a bang, Pittsburgh. I do think Pittsburgh's gonna decline pretty steeply this year. Like I'm not a fan of the roster. Don't think Russ and Arthur Smith is a good fit. But look, it's a nice hot game to start the season off. And
you think Russ and Arthur Smith is the worst combination of Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett?
Ooh, all right, man. You've been serving me up. I hope I draw you.
I'm just curious
what we're gonna put together because like you're just getting at me today. All right, it's still not ideal. That's all.
Okay, fair enough. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I don't love the combination of the quarterback and head coach, even if you want to put Justin Fields in there. I don't love, or play caller, I should say. But yeah, I was just curious what you thought of.
Yeah, it's a mess waiting to happen. But let's not forget Raheem Morris and Mike Tomlin are really close friends. They were on Peter Schrager's show a couple years ago, so I think that's going to be a cool subplot. What are you laughing about that? That's a really good podcast.
It's just funny to me because I did an episode talking about how Raheem and Tomlin go back to their days in Tampa, and you were just like, they were on Peter Schrager's show a couple of years ago, and it's just like Peter Schrager is the thing that's looking at him. It just cracked me up. That's all.
If anything, it was Sean McVay because it was. Let me just preface it was Peter Schrager and Sean McVay, and look, those two have a lot of history together. But nevertheless, man, I just continue to get roasted on this podcast, questioning why am I making my return. But then they play Philly, which is awesome. I know the Eagles have tended to own the Falcons over the years, but still. The Falcons have played so many 1 o'clock games the last, 5-6 years. It's just nice to see them on that football. And then they got Sunday night against the reigning champions. That's awesome. Then it's hate week, and then you got the short week against Tampa, which I think will be a good litmus test. There's a lot of litmus tests here, but I think Tampa's going to be the main rival when it comes to the division. So on a short week home game, it's a cool test, especially after how tricky this schedule is to start. So, yeah, I love the first 5 games. I know it looks a little bit daunting, but this team has a high bar they're setting for themselves. So let's see how they stack up against these teams. And thankfully, the end of the season, I think is very light. Like they could easily go 6-0 the end of the year. So if people are concerned about the beginning, it's like, okay, remember, it's a very long season. And the NFC is kind of the land of opportunity. So I don't think people should be too concerned about this opening stretch. If anything, you should be excited just to see what this offense is truly made of.
So I guess now that we've gotten the small talk out of the way, we will turn our attention to our summer series. We've been teasing tremendous content here on the pod for several weeks now, and this is part of that tremendous content, as you guys may recall, 4 years ago, which last time it was the Falcons Historian Shootout, and we're running it back with a slight twist, and we'll break down what that twist is coming up on the podcast, as well as, we're going to build the bracket. We're going to, do our, best Atlanta Hawks impression and win the lottery as Alan pulls the matchups out of his hat. But you'll further understand that in a second as we continue and wrap up today's Locked On Falcons. So we are here wrapping up today's Locked On Falcons with what you all didn't realize is why you're here listening, which is we are doing a revamp of the Falcons Historian Shootout, where we bring in 16 people that are Falcons content creators, Falcons beat writers, bloggers, podcasters, etc., to duke it out in a trivia tournament, best whatever, I don't know.
I like to just point out, let's do Atlanta sports, because you will see some Atlanta sports personalities here. It's not just Falcons based. Atlanta sports people that are connected with the Falcons. That watch the Falcons. We're not going to have someone here that doesn't know their history. So. Yes.
And they will duke it out in a tournament to be crowned the ultimate Falcons historian. I believe Adnan Ikic won it last time, if I'm not mistaken, Alan.
This is correct. He is the reigning champ.
And he will be returning among several. Alan, I'll give you the floor if you want any other insight into that you want to explain to the listeners before we start. Basically, what we're going to do here is Alan's going to pick the names out of the hat, as well as, I guess I'll explain this. Last time we did like different seasons, right?
Yes, we did seasons from 2004 to 2019.
Yes. Because this happened in 2020. And now we're going to be basically looking at Falcons. And basically, we asked each participant trivia questions about each season, and whoever got the most right went on to the next round. And then, of course, the bracket goes until someone was crowned champion. This time, we're switching up the format. And instead of focusing on individual seasons, we're going to focus on individual players. So we selected 15 Falcon greats in which to pepper these people with trivia questions. And of course, whoever gets the most right will go on to the next round and, be peppered with questions about the next Falcons great. If you're curious, Matt Ryan will be the final round. That will be whoever, has the greatest Matt Ryan knowledge will be the person who ultimately wins it. But in order to make it to that far, you're going to have to answer questions about other players, Julio and
Mike Vick. That will be the semis, but everyone else is open.
Yes, those are going to be the final two before the Matt Ryan round, and then we'll figure out the rest there. But Alan, did I hit all the bullet points?
For most part, I just want to mention that it is 5 questions, and be matched up. I will be giving 5 questions to one person. Aaron will be giving 5 questions to another. We will both be in it, so when we are facing someone, the opposite co-host will be giving out the questions. I also want to, make sure everyone knows that we're going to let the players go. We're not going to list out the players now. I do want to mention one player that I really want in was Mohamed Sanu. But Aaron said we weren't going to be able to do the tournament if I wanted to put his name in, so he banned Mohamed Sanu, which is very unfortunate because I think Mohamed Sanu is a beloved Falcon.
Mm-hmm. He is. He's definitely. Yes. Way
Don't
more
say
below.
top 50.
Yeah. He probably is in the top 20 in terms of beloved, just based off of every time I throw him under the bus on this podcast, which is probably like once a month at this point in time. Someone always hits me back like, why are you always taking shots at Sanu? Because he's so beloved. I have to, you have to come for the king. So
time is healing, but nevertheless. So we'll announce 8 players now with the first round matchups, and then as the second round goes along, we'll announce the players for the quarterfinals. Right now, let's just focus on the first round. I think that's just a clean way of doing it. So,
and I also, sorry, before you finish, Alan, this won't begin until next month in June. I just want people to know that, like, that's not starting this week. Both Alan and I are going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back and do this thing. So, continue. I'm sorry.
Yes. So, yeah, we'll start. We're playing on second week of June, and we'll just keep doing it until the summer. It's going to be fun. 5 questions each, and it's just all about one specific player. We want to give the players a love. 4 years ago, I thought it was a cool concept doing seasons, but we didn't want to repeat. We had to think of something fresh, and I think this is a really cool concept that we're giving love to players from. I also want to preface that last 20 years, players that we watched. So you're not going to get. Aaron, give me an old name. Andre Rison. Look, man, I'm still young. Well, what former Falcons, like Steve Barkowski, we can't do trivia on him.
Tommy Nobis, Claude Humphrey,
Wallace
Francis. All those guys.
We're sticking to the last 20.
Yeah, they're not going to be on it.
So, all right, let's begin the draw. We're going to pick out. So the format will be: we're going to pick out the first 2 names for each matchup of the people that will be in it, and then the player will be picked. So. Let's go with man. I hope people like the hat, even though it's warm in New York, but kind of matches the colors.
Sure.
Okay, first name. Here we go. We got Corey Woodruff, the most pleasant man in the Falcons community.
Fair enough. Accurate statement. Truest thing you said tonight, Alan.
I'm going to not let your sniper remarks get to me. I'm just getting used to it. A good day. He will be facing Jarvis Davis. Ooh.
Okay.
Aaron, he's someone you're very closely connected with. What do you think about that matchup?
I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, especially depending on what player they draw.
And the player that they will draw is Devontae Freeman. Ooh.
My cousin. Okay.
I'm so happy you did not get Devontae Freeman. There's 2 players in here I really don't want you to get. I think you'll kind of know the other person, but nevertheless, good matchup. Devontae Freeman had to be in it. Come on, folks. Who doesn't love them? So Devontae Freeman.
A lot of Falcon fans are still bitter about it, but hey,
I don't know.
We don't associate with those Falcon fans. We don't associate with those people. My cousin has done nothing wrong.
We have Brad Rowland, who Atlanta sports darling, still glowing about the Atlanta Hawks #1 pick, and he will be facing Myles Garrett, another Atlanta sports personality. This is Atlanta sports collision course right here.
Who will they be going? Who will they be squaring off?
I hope people like the hat as well. We're going with like a furry vibe in here, even though no, never mind. As Aaron discussed, Keanu Neal, who was one of the last few players to make it, but we had to give Keanu love. Who doesn't love hard hitting safety? Is either him or Willie Moe? We had to get a hard hitting safety in here, and we're gonna go with the more recent route.
Yes.
Okay, third matchup. Aaron Freeman. Here he is on the left side of the bracket. Who will he be facing? Charles McDonald. Speak of illustrious guest. You'll be going. Which player we got here? Michael Turner. Ooh.
I was really hoping it would be a different player because I was like, I would count on Charles for just mailing it in for that episode because Charles is known to do that from time to time. He'll go out to happy hour or something like that and be a little too inebriated for the show. And I don't know if he'll do that. I think he'll be locked in for Michael Turner.
He's turning 30 soon. He's a new man. All right, final matchup on the left side of the bracket. We got Matt Chernoff, sports radio darling, and he will be facing me. Ooh. All right. So the first tournament we did, we were on opposite sides. So now we're on the same side. Not only that, but we might face each other in the quarters, which, we will have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Most likely we'll just give questions to ourselves. Like I'll ask you 5, you ask me 5, and we'll just duke it out. But we still got business to handle now. Let's see which player will I get. I face Matt. It will be Warrick Dunn. Ooh, this is the bracket of the running back.
It is. And it is.
You know me, I love my mid-2000s Falcons football. Jim Mora Jr. That's what I grew up on, so I'm excited about this. First time a Falcons podcast has spoken glowingly about Jim Mora Jr. in 14 years.
That's probably an accurate statement, too.
Next side of the bracket. Dave Cho, of course, starting off the right side with a bang. The Godfather himself.
This could be the Falcoholic side of the bracket, right?
Oh, it could be. There's a lot. Other than me and Corey.
Yeah, we'll just get these guys out of the way in the first round.
He'll be facing Daniel Flick, Sports Illustrated, one of our new entries. Okay.
Yes.
And they will be which player? Let me get a nice defensive player here. Jonathan Babineau. Finally. Okay. Hey.
Yeah. All right, there we go. I'll be locked in for that one. Locked on.
All right, next matchup we have Will McFadden as the Falcon begins to take over this bracket. He will be facing Joe Patrick, non-Falcon, another Atlanta radio new entrant. I feel those are two very even steel common men. No controversy, just men that give their takes and no nonsense. So that's gonna be like straight to the point. Watch it get like the most controversial player right now.
Yeah. Let's see who it is.
Let's see who they got. Calvin Ridley, who some will say is a bit controversial. Maybe not.
Some would say that. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. We got two more matchups. We have Kevin Knight. He will be facing Gina Thomas, everyone's favorite. Gina Thomas. Let's see. They will have Grady Jarrett. All right. I was hoping to see Grady off the board at some point. Okay. Last matchup. It is the reigning champion, Adnan Ikic, who will have to wait a while, but the reigning champ, he is there. And the last but not least, he'll be facing David Shield, who I think he made it to the second round last time. Him and Matt Trump. Matt Trump was one of my favorite people because he was like on Zoom in like different locations. I think it was sipping on margarita during one tournament. So I remember David Shield beat him. All right, and the last player will be Tony Gonzalez. Ooh. Aaron, should I reveal the 4 players that will be in the second round?
Yeah, get the people's, wet their whistles a little bit.
Okay, so here are the players that, if you make it to quarterfinals, expect an episode on them. And by the way, for these matchups, we will do like a 10-minute, just giving our appreciation to them. Bring back the greatest highlights. Just give them a nice review of how much we hold them dear to our hearts. But the players that will be going for the quarterfinals, we have John Abraham, Algie Crumpler, Roddy White, and Desmond Trufant.
Okay,
nice.
It's a pretty solid second round.
We got some tricky matchups, man. What matchup you look at besides yourself? What stood out to you?
Well, I'm all in on trying to figure out how I can only ask 5 Jonathan Babineau questions. This is going to be the biggest, hurdle I have to overcome, whittling down to my 5. But, Dave's going to get
was there any players that you think should have been in here? I know Patrick Kearney might get mentioned. I really want to put Patrick Kearney. He was the one that just missed out. Is there other players that you kind of wanted to see in here?
Not particularly. I mean, okay. Yeah, Obi Mahaley, but that was just been for me. But
just had to be.
Yeah. So, but
man, 5 questions on a fullback. Wow, 10 questions, man.
Only 10? Oh, yeah, I got 20 or something like that. I got just done all that.
Which linebacker did he pancake? 2010. Oh, okay.
Is Dave going up against Flick?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that matchup just because you have like the old guy and the new guy,
and they're going to be quizzed on the legend, Jonathan Babineau. God, yeah. I feel like I should just let you do all 10 questions. That's how excited you are, but I think that wouldn't be fair. I just want to mention I am very intrigued by Brad versus Miles. I think those are 2 real Atlanta guys. They got Keanu Neal, which might be a little bit of a controversial choice, but look, man, Keanu Neal, big part of that Super Bowl team, gave us so many great highlights. I think Keanu Neal was a cool choice. So I'm really much looking forward to that one. And, Corey versus Jarvis. I don't know Jarvis too well, so let's see he brings it. He better be nice to Corey, man. Corey's the most gentle soul, man. Like, I'm a protect Corey Woodruff at all costs.
Okay,
that's my brand. So
I'll let Jarvis know next time I talk to him that
and they're the opening matchup too.
Yeah.
So and I like the fact that our opener is Devontae Freeman. So that first episode that we do for the shootout will be dedicated to Devontae Freeman. So Aaron, watch your tape. I know Memorial Day's coming up. You might have a cookout with your cousin. Just try to get some good insight if you can.
Okay, I'll do what I can. I'll see what I can. Any parting thoughts, Alan, before we duck out of here?
No, I'm very excited to start this second week of June. We will be aiming to do 2 episodes per week. That's the goal.
Something like that. We'll see.
Okay.
I make no promises with June podcasting schedule. I make no promises, but yeah, that will be the goal.
Yeah.
Guys, that is going to do it for us here on tonight's episode of Locked On Falcons. Of course, you will see much more of Alan as well as the others that will be taking part in this Falcons Historian Shootout starting in June, running probably through July. Hopefully we'll be done by the time we get to training camp. We'll see. Again, I make no promises when it comes to scheduling out this podcast in a normal way. We'll see. But that is going to do it for us, guys. I really hope you guys look forward to that trivia tournament, Falcons Historian Shootout 2.0. I'm sure Alan will come up with a better name than that at some point. And if he does, then we'll
unveil right here. The Falcons Historian Player Shootout.
Okay.
All about the players.
This is why he's got the big brain and I'm just the guy. So there you guys have it. The Falcons Historian Player Shootout will be coming your way in the coming weeks. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And we'll see what's coming your way here on the Locked On Falcons podcast. I have no idea. Again, this is why I can't make any promises, because I don't know what episodes are going to be airing tomorrow on the pod. But by all means, make it your first listen. Check out Locked On NFL, Locked On Sports Atlanta, Locked On Sports Today, all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.